How may I assist you? Welcome, Diviner. You stand before what remains of the High Council, advisors to Nasko Varun. We are all that is left after the disaster that has befallen our people. I represent House Dulkef. Jimal is from House Kadik, and we are joined by Lovek of House Veth'aal. We are, all of us, hopeful that your arrival in Dazra and your clear connection to Nasko Varun, for the first time in weeks, represent some semblance of hope. Collectively, we unite under the banner of House Varun, pledged to follow Jinan Varun and his descendants. But our society is not a monolith. Jinan, in his wisdom, shepherded the first of us into families that we might grow and prosper. Our 3 families have for generations now helped to govern the people of House Varun, and offer counsel to our leader. I understand. Until you were one of us, we could not trust you.
By all means, Malabor. I can't wait to see how you spend this.
Please, can we just for a moment...
Can we just for a moment what? Discuss whether or not to allow the first convert to House Varun since before any of us were born? A bit late on that, it seems.
You were not there. You did not see Nasko. It felt different. We have already wasted so much time.
You're correct. I was not there. Because you elected to travel to the spaceport on your own. And then decided this on your own.
Do not waste time with more bickering. Nasko, and by extension House Varun, suffers with every passing moment.
Of course, Lovek. My apologies. Please, Malabor. Do go on.
Nasko Varun, like his father before him, has relied on the teachings of Jinan to guide us. Nasko wondered if perhaps it was time to seek guidance directly from the Great Serpent, and so sought a means of reaching out.
Perhaps he found the teachings inadequate.
Careful, Kadik. You tread on dangerous ground.
I mean nothing by it. We simply were never consulted on the matter and do not know the full motive.
The point is that a series of experiments have taken place over the years, utilizing grav drive technology to hopefully make direct contact with the Great Serpent, similar to Jinan Varun's initial meeting.
And then something went wrong.
We do not know what happened. We were not inside the Scaled Citadel at the time.
Had we been, we wouldn't be standing here now. We'd be like the rest of them.
A great tide of energy emanated from the Scaled Citadel and swept across Dazra. Much was destroyed in its wake. Those caught in the blast have been left in a state of confusion, trapped halfway between our universe and the Vortex. The Citadel itself remains in such a state. Right there and yet beyond our reach. We can only assume that the experiment is still running, somehow preventing us from entering the Citadel. We cannot get in, so we cannot stop it. We're beginning to lose hope before you arrived. Forgive me, I am no scientist, but as it has been explained to me, what we call the Vortex is the space between universes. It has only been a few weeks. There had been efforts to put together some kind of response, some plan. But they had fallen apart. Your arrival and your interaction with Nasko shows that he can still be saved. A plan had been devised to access the Citadel, but the work stalled. Clearly, it is time to move forward with it. The current head of our science team, Ekris, should be in Jinan Plaza down below us, towards the Citadel. Tell him about your experience with Nasko, and that work on the morning device must proceed. Good to see you. That depends a great deal on who you ask. Generations ago, we made a decision to pull back from the settled systems. Some amongst us saw that as a mistake, an abandonment of House Varun's true calling. The schism within our people grew until some took it upon themselves to leave, and declare themselves the true descendants of Jinan Varun. They are, of course, factually wrong, and incredibly misguided. Any decision about House Varun is the Speaker's to make, but Jinan Varun in his wisdom saw fit to create the High Council to help advise those decisions. We offer perspectives and opinions that can often contradict one another, which can ultimately help the Speaker to guide our people. Or, at least that is how it was before all this. Now, with the Speaker gone, we have temporarily taken over making decisions in his stead. Once this is all behind us, we can restore the intended order of things. Not long, though it feels like an eternity. Jamal and I had only been a part of the council for maybe a year before all this, and we were only ever in subordinate roles. It has been quite a challenge to accept this new level of responsibility. Lovek, on the other hand, has served on the council for quite a long time. He rarely lets us forget it. He has led House Varun since the death of his father Jarek. He is determined to return House Varun to glory. He believed he was on the cusp of realizing that goal, and now, well, you have seen him. I should perhaps not speak too much of it, but there has been concern that he was lost to us. Your interaction with him gives me hope. If you can hear him, he is not beyond rescue.
You would speak with me?
Good to see you. Don't take it personally. We have been through so much these last few weeks. The Council is attempting to claw back some semblance of order from the chaos, steer things past this somehow. And then Malabor goes and throws you into the middle of all this without even consulting us. It's just one more breach of a protocol that barely exists anymore. I am over it, I assure you. It is good to have you with us, and we are finally moving forward. No, it's complicated. Jinan Varun himself established the rules. Let me see if I can make it easy for you. The Speaker has supreme authority. He is the voice of the Great Serpent. The houses each handle some function of daily life and are individually run by the Elder of the House. Each of the houses also appoints a mediary to the High Council to inform and advise the Speaker. It's a separate position from the Elder, with a lesser degree of authority and prestige. Now is hardly the time to be entertaining such thoughts. Just so you know, it isn't wise to openly question Jinan Varun's decisions. You don't want to be accused of heresy. All must serve.
Yes? Did you require something? Indeed, Serac was my cousin. I know they were assigned to the Oracle, and Malabor relayed their final report sent by the station. They walk with the Great Serpent now. Serac was a respected scientist, dedicated to the Great Serpent. They spent every moment engrossed in their work, a true testament of faith. It was their greatest honor to be selected for the Oracle. The Oracle's fate will be tabled for a future discussion. We have more important issues at hand. 87 souls reside with the Great Serpent now. Many were some of the finest scientific minds House Varun had to offer. They will be remembered alongside those we lost here in Dazra. Of course, It was breathtaking, a true testament to the will of Jinan Varun and our faith in the Great Serpent. To have started from nothing and to have accomplished so much, I pray to the Serpent that we can someday reclaim all that we have lost. I was outside the city, visiting a friend at his farm. We saw the flash of light from inside, and by the time we made it outside, you know, in that moment, I worried it was my fault. That I had somehow not been faithful enough, that I had not believed. I still find myself worrying that we are being punished, that we have affronted the Great Serpent in some way, and that this is our penance.
I would move the stars for you. But I hope it does not come to that. You are going to say something sweet or complimentary, are you not? By all means, proceed. You flatter me, dearest. By all means, continue. I will be here for you, as always.
Do you know the scientists out at Hamadi Station?
The old married couple? Azad and Shireen, if I remember right. I've met them a few times. They seemed a little eccentric, but otherwise quite nice.
That's them, yes. They're
I got you your favorite from the meat house. Extra fatty, just the way you like.
Some koza to lift your spirits? This is what I have.
There was never a time when I was old enough to be allowed to drink alcohol here.
Another drink will not hurt.
Another one from
You seem to be doing well.
It's been a hard day.
I'll drink to that.
I don't need any free drinks from you.
Great Serpent keep you.
What you have done goes beyond disgraceful. It is morbid, disgusting. You should be hanging your head in shame. But instead, here you are, acting like a common fool.
Veth'aal, calm down. Do not do this here.
How shameful of you to have these outbursts. Oh my, what would poor mother and father think?
You will speak not of mother and father, sloughing bastard. No shame. No shame at all. What a waste of good life that they worked tirelessly to give you.
Mother and father spat on the ground I walked on. You were their pride and joy. Oh, good, generous Veth'aal. Always the paragon, the keeper of our family name.
I am disgusted to call you brother. It would be best for all of us if by some miracle you were to drown in one of those bottles of koza you are so infatuated with.
Ugh, with a brother like you, is it any wonder I am driven to drink?
Are you done?
You have no place in our city.
Were it not for the Council, you would be cut down. As you should. Get away from me, House.
I pray that the Great Serpent will deliver us from our hardships.
Will you calm down?
You should be addressing the brute here. He is the one making the scene.
Never in his worst nightmares could I imagine Jinan Barun saw a future like this.
Look who it is. You have made quite a stir. And given the state of things, that is a singular accomplishment. To what do I owe the honor, diviner? Did he now? How magnanimous. But approval is approval, and I will gladly take it. I will spare you much of the technical detail, as I confess that pieces of it I barely understand myself. One cannot help but notice the energy field around the Scaled Citadel. Until we can get through it, we cannot shut down the experiment inside, and it has proved quite impossible to get through. We had the beginnings of a plan to build a makeshift contraption to redirect grav drive energy to see if we could penetrate the barrier, but the project came to a halt. Politics got in the way.
I can imagine that without the Speaker to issue clear directions, things have been difficult.
Every one of the houses needs to contribute, and everyone realized they could potentially use it for leverage. What should have been a cooperative effort turned contentious. Easy decisions became negotiations. And so, construction never began. We have sat here, staring at this disaster as supplies pile up for well over a week now. Serpent help us, it is infuriating. Indeed. All must serve. I believe I've done enough complaining for now. Time to get to work. If you're here, the Council has likely sent word to the houses that it's time to stop the infighting. I doubt it will be enough. I need to oversee construction here, make sure things are built to specifications. If you could follow up with the houses, that may speed up the process. I appreciate that someone around here is eager to get to work. House Veth'aal owes us access codes for the city power grid. It's the only way to guarantee enough power to activate the device. House Kadik was supposed to provide a young scientist named Sahima to help me. She had at least some experience with the original Citadel experiment. No idea why they refused to send her. And Hasmek, the new elder of House Dul-Kef, he has been distant, guarded. He claims to have vital information about an important component of the experiment, but has withheld it until now. Help me get what we need, and we will see what we can do for the Speaker. And for House Va'ruun. And I may have something that can help you in whatever trials the Serpent puts before you as we navigate this. We have been nearly overwhelmed with all that has happened over the last few weeks, but I have still spent some time doing my own research when I can. These phantoms, the vortex. Fascinating subject, really. If only there were some less disastrous way we could have discovered all this. I know. I have lost friends and colleagues myself. We have encountered several interesting phenomena. First, while the phantoms shift to a fully human form when killed, they often retain small shards that appear to be an almost crystallized version of vortex energy. Second, we have learned that killing the phantoms sometimes causes an even greater disturbance. Horrors, as they have been colloquially termed, can appear from somewhere. We are unsure of their origin, but it is not within our universe. These horrors and their spawn are infested with cysts, a seemingly organic manifestation of vortex energy. We have managed to collect enough to run experiments and have devised a method of combining them into an explosive mixture with varying properties. While they have no use in the development of the morning device, if you find yourself out in the field, I believe they could have more practical applications. The process is simple enough that any industrial workstation should suffice, if you have the materials. And, depending on how you combine said materials, you may find the results to be somewhat variable. I hope you can use that to your advantage. Not enough to have prevented it from happening. If I had any idea it was going to turn out like this, It had been Inasco's primary goal for some time. A way to recreate Jinan Varun's encounter with the Great Serpent. Everything we knew about grav drive technology, every scientific advancement we'd made in the last 100 years was poured into it. Towards the end, I was just so exhausted. I asked for a brief time off. Had I not, I would be trapped in there with the rest of the science team. Yes, I am sure that is how some would see it. I left the project weeks before the disaster, and at that point, we were nowhere near ready. Some breakthroughs were made shortly thereafter, and they ran the experiment. And here we are. Just look around. I'm sure you have at least some idea of how much we have physically lost. A huge portion of the city is just gone. And those left behind are struggling. Supplies are limited. There is so much work to be done, and we are all just so tired. I hope that eventually we can return things to the way they were, but we must be realistic. That will take time, and I suspect a great deal of it. Yes, depending on how much trouble you're getting into. We have been nearly overwhelmed with all that has happened over the last few weeks, but I have still spent some time doing my own research when I can. These phantoms, the vortex. Fascinating subject, really. Well, we have encountered several. Second, these horrors, we have managed to collect enough. Well, the process is simple, and
I am sure you know what I am referring to. Perhaps this is the first wave of an impending cultural infiltration. The settled systems are scared of us, and so they are trying to tame us from within.
Indeed. I fear that even darker days may be ahead for House Veth'aal.
No, we will not let those days come to pass. All must serve.
Sorry, but you will have to get approval. You do not have approval to trade with me.
Since the
To not fully dedicate is to risk the path of the Apostate.
The High Council needs access to the power grid if we hope to restore the city. Your inability to provide a legitimate excuse for denying them will only last so long.
Victoria is right. I know you're angry, but you can't let personal matters interfere with what may be best for everyone.
Personal matters? This is a Ministry of State matter, and I will handle it as I see fit. He is a traitor. He turned his back not only on his family, but on our people's entire belief system. The fact that he still breathes is a stain upon the House Veth'aal name.
You would doom us all with your pride.
I will do as I please as head of this house. If you are not a member of House Veth'aal, you do not belong here. Truly, you are a heretic with no regard for respect.
Forgive my brother. He has been forgetting his manners of late. Victor, this is Anaskel's chosen. You recall Lovik sent word.
I recall he spoke of a newly anointed promised. And we do not need help, especially from an outsider.
You can't continue to refuse the council. You must act. Your inaction is killing you.
Precisely, which is why he leaves me no choice but to say this. My nephew Varric has left, and until he returns, Victor refuses to assist the council.
These are hardly matters for the ears of an outsider. And who are you to tell me what is vital and what is not? You are an outsider. You have no understanding of our house.
Is this not the opportunity you've been looking for, brother? A third party capable of finding Varric?
Yes, you said so yourself. Someone with no loyalties to speak of. And if he's become promised, truly his arrival is more than coincidence.
Serpent, give me strength. You both speak true. Perhaps I have reacted in haste. Tell me, Divina, are you well practiced in discretion? I have heard reports on Ryujin from the Ministry of Conjunction. This news gives me hope. As Victoria mentioned, my son, Varric, has left. Essentially, he has abandoned his post. And not only did he turn his back on his house, but the Great Serpent as well. He is a traitor and must be dealt with as such.
Victor, surely you don't mean it.
He does, Luther. He is allowing his fervent pride and anger to cloud his judgment. What my brother is trying to say is that he wishes his own son dead. First, We lose Vashti to that malignance tearing through Dazra. And now you so willingly offer up Varric. As if our house has not suffered enough loss already.
I will not speak of her with it. Your focus is solely on Veth'aal. My son denounced the very faith that defines Va'ruun's society. He dared to blame a Nazgul for the state of Dazra. Dared to call our faith in the Great Serpent blind. It is heresy and punishable by death. Because he let his weakness get the better of him. He sees himself as a prisoner in this life. He runs from a duty that others would spend their lives coveting. He is my son. He does not get to choose. He was born to inherit my title, and he knows the punishment for refusing to honor it. Of course it would. As someone from the settled systems, you have no concept of what the Great Serpent demands of us. I do not wish Veth'aal dead, but as head of the Ministry of State, he left me no choice. All must serve. Those who refuse will be met with death. Our duty as wardens is to keep the populace tasked and loyal. All must serve, both the Great Serpent and House Va'ruun. No exceptions. Those who refuse must be cleansed to stop the spread of corruption. The shame Veth'aal brought upon this house is immeasurable. It stains the very foundation. I will not act until this house is in order and its members are properly aligned with the Great Serpent. Exceptions show weakness, and
we have done the same for less. You act as if death is the only answer. What about forgiveness?
I will not risk the ministry's authority on the actions of my own son, even if he is my chosen heir. If the High Council wants my cooperation, I need you.
And I would ask you to spare him. My brother is acting under impulse, not reason.
I have never been more clear. Speak against me one more time, and you will regret it. Veth'aal has a signet ring with House Veth'aal's family crest. Bring it to me as proof of death. Only then will I grant you access to the power grid. There is no other way. The Ministry of State must uphold order, and you will be expected to serve as we all do. I recommend you start by speaking to patrons of the Herald's Rest. Some of Veth'aal's associates there may know where he went, but keep in mind, anyone who has directly aided him in hiding is an accomplice and shares his fate. The Herald's Rest is our local bar, and unfortunately, while I know a bar is in the all anyone needs to know. See to it all anyone needs to know is that you are looking for Veth'aal for. I will not risk word of his disappearance getting out before I can say the situation has been.
Remember, Diviner, that I would ask you to spare my nephew. As a high-ranking member of the Ministry of State, I fully support the policies. But I also recognize these circumstances are not normal. Exceptions must be made in trying times. Varric was an obedient child, quiet, always absorbed in his studies to please his father. But the two have clashed ever since Varric sacrificed his growth. He found his voice that day, and Varric is conflict-averse. Pressure, responsibility, stress. He avoids them like the plague. He wants everyone's approval, and as elder, that is an impossible task. I believe it is why he has fled. He made his final stand against his father, and rather than face the disapproval, he disappears. Victor was too lenient with him when it came to Varric's free time. As strict as he was, he allowed him the freedom to associate with whomever he wanted. I think too much time at the Heraldress showed Varric a different life is possible, when it's not. Not for him. Victor's pride and belief in tradition will not allow it. He sees Varric's refusal to inherit the role of Elder as an insult, and many would share that view. What would you like to... Victor is letting his emotions get the better of him. He was barely processing the shock and grief from losing Vashti. Then came the anger and betrayal from Varric. My brother is a man of pride and great faith. For the first time, I think he does not know what to do. But I am certain Victor does not wish Varric dead. As head of the Ministry of State, Victor feels he has no choice. He believes he is trapped by his own faith and duty. If he makes an exception for his son, and the truth comes out, people will see it as weakness. They will question the Ministry of State's authority, which means they are questioning him. Something his pride would never risk. On the other hand, going through with it, announcing it to the public, that solidifies the Ministry of State as a force to be both feared and revered. Is it not obvious? He has given... Yes, Varric would be loath to part with it. It belonged to his sister and is all he has left. But to save his life? To save her brother? Vashti would give him her blessing to hand it over if you ask. This is why I ask. And I pray I have answers. Vashti was my niece. Victor's daughter. We lost her to the devastation that took half of our great city. Victor will barely speak of her. I think he cannot reconcile the loss with his faith. Great Serpent keep you.
So many lives lost. You don't know Victor Veth'aal. He may be the most stubborn man in Dazra next to Anesco Varun himself, but that doesn't mean we won't try. He adores Varric, and if he died without reconciling their differences, I think it would break him. He never got to say goodbye to Vashti, and he hasn't taken it well. Our house was taken during the incident. Our losses are great. Vashti being foremost in our minds. Excuse me. I'd rather not speak about it. Whatever happened to Dazra, our Victor felt the keep was the most logical. The Ministry of State oversees military and security. Varric is a dreamer who let his fascination with the settled systems get the best of him. You could always tell his heart wasn't into learning about Varun society, noble houses, ministries, Dazra. He was a devout student, but none of it interested him. The only lessons that truly fascinated him were about space and exploration. Vashti was Victor's daughter. We lost her in the accident. She and Varric were very close. She was his anchor and voice of reason. I truly believe if she was still with us, Varric would be too. Serpent guide you.
I am grateful for our time together, leaving so soon.
We mourn the loss of our fallen, but not they walk with the serpent.
Apologies, but you're not clear to purchase from me yet.
Not looking for company right now. This railing is taken. And no, I'm not looking for company. I'm not in the mood. Find someone else to question. Veth'aal. And why should I know anything about the heir apparent? I'm nobody. Ask him yourself, if you find him. Oh, sure. I'm just fine. Hundreds of people are presumed dead. One best friend ran out on me. The other's just drinking himself to death. So yeah, couldn't be better. Do I? Perhaps at one point, I thought I did. Varric. One day we're inseparable, and the next, I've searched all of Dazra for him. But he's gone. Couldn't even leave a note. That means he either doesn't want to be found or... well, I prefer not to think about it. So, what if I did? You're right. You're right. I'm so tired. It's possible I missed something, but nothing comes to mind. Believe me, I'd help if I could. Yeah, and at a time like this. All right, fine. But I'm only telling you this because I want him to be safe. I never found out where he is. But I know someone who might. His name is Tain Salavea. Hard to say right now, but Tain's a regular. If you stay a bit, you can't miss him. Just promise me you'll let me know if you find Varric. Thank you.
Credits running low. Ugh, what am I going to do? What am I to do now? I lost my job at the cultural center. My livelihood is gone. My credits are... It was wonderful while it lasted. The job was stable, good pay, and enjoyable. I always looked forward to the yearly trip the school children would make to the cultural center. I was one of the managers, so I was in charge of cataloging artifacts and creating displays. Most of the center was dedicated to Jinan Varun and the Serpent's Crusade. I do not necessarily agree with some of the content that was on display, but regardless, it is a shame that so much history is now lost to time. How can anyone even begin to make sense of it all? Hundreds of people gone in an instant, along with most of the city. It is like something out of a nightmare. I feel guilty, to tell the truth. I was supposed to work on the day the cultural center disappeared. I was sick, and my coworker covered for me. And now... they are gone forever. I just cannot stop thinking, why? Why did this have to happen to us? Sometimes I wish I became a herald. Their faith can see them through anything comfortably. Perhaps I must meditate and... This used to be the neighborhood where most of us common folk lived. Not much of a neighborhood any longer, seeing as there are only a few houses left. That being said, almost all of the noble housing that was closer to the scaled citadel is gone as well. The vortex has spared no one. See you around.
Hope things start looking up soon around here. Hey,
Aren't you that outsider made promise that showed up here recently? Oh, wow. You really bought in, huh? I'm an outsider myself. It's hard to get into the whole giant snake thing. Tell me about it. I've been doting back and forth for these people for years and still get the cold shoulder most places I go. But then these people lose half their city and you show up, and suddenly it's divine intervention. Hey, you play your cards here right, you win them over. You've already been dealt a winning hand as it is. Anyway, enough about that. What can I do you for? Veth'aal, huh? That's no small name around here. Well, I guess that depends, diviner. Who wants to know? Oh, sure. You just show up out of the blue and suddenly want to know where to find House Veth'aal's #1 son? And I know he wasn't lost to whatever ate up half of Dazra. Plenty of people have seen him since. Although, let's just say after what went down here, my retirement's looking imminent, and I haven't exactly been saving up for a rainy day. So if you're feeling generous, maybe we can help each other out. Nice to see we operate on the same wavelength. I'm pretty sure he's heading into the Highlands. Just not sure where. But I do have the means to track him. So you just say the word and we're off to the races. Highlands region is the northwest side of Dazra. Oh no. Let's just say I haven't. Once we're outside of Dazra, I'll fire up my tracker and fingers crossed. Just head out the west gate. Should be.
Dazra. It was once so beautiful.
Just keep heading northwest of Dazra until we pick something up.
There seems to be a path up. We should follow it. Always worth checking. Never know what you might find in it. Pockets. Temporary encampment, but not enough. An eventful stay for the occupant. This view. Despite everything, I cannot help but be moved by how beautiful my home can be.
I could have done without that. All my years and all the planets I've been on. Never gonna get used to those things. Terror, what? I think I'll pass. At least I don't see a body around here, so I hope that means Varric's alive. You find anything? Injured? Hope he... Well, what's next? Sounds like a plan. Let's head back down and see what we can find.
Best not to leave anything useful behind.
There's a farm up ahead. We should see what they know.
Please do not frighten the birds.
That's far enough, strangers. You want to tell me what you're doing on my property uninvited? Through here. You realize you're in the middle of nowhere. I can understand that, but I can't help you. The only people here are my partner Zen and our daughter Mila. No one comes around here. We're isolated, and that's the way we like it. That's a generous offer.
Irina, are you sure you know what you're doing?
Zen, yes, I know quite well. Never mind my partner, they're just overly cautious. As I said, we're isolated out here. We keep to ourselves. But we did aid an injured young man a few days ago.
That's gotta be Varric.
It's too coincidental. It must have been him. We didn't know and didn't ask. We introduced ourselves, and he quickly changed the subject. But he was polite, and something about him reminded me of our own son, so I didn't feel the need to push him. Casimir Mazur. He left a while back to find work in Dazra. He didn't want the life of a farmer. We haven't heard from him since the incident. He had a pretty bad injury, but we were able to patch him up. He didn't want to stick around, though. Once he felt better, we sent him north. There's a long-abandoned growth farm we felt he could make use of. He claimed he lost everything in the incident that swallowed half of Dazra. He wanted to start a new life. We even gave him 2 of our own growths to get started. You're welcome, and safe travels. If you find him, give him our regards. Good luck in your search. that done. There are worse ways to begin a day than here with you.
It's been a minute since I stretched the old legs. Nothing going on out here. Good, because this sounds like it's a waiting game.
It seems I have uninvited guests. You want to explain yourselves?
Whoa, hey, it's me. Dang. Put the gun down already.
It's not you I'm concerned about. It's your friends.
Rightfully so.
I wish I could say I was pleased to meet you, but something tells me... Please, if you're here... I'm glad someone does for once. I am not sure how familiar you are with our culture, but all I've ever wanted was the right to choose. I was born House Veth'aal. I was raised to inherit the role of Elder, to run the Ministry of State, to worship the Great Serpent. But I want none of it.
With House Veth'aal? Easier said than done.
This is true. House Veth'aal and the Ministry of State are known to be the most devout and punitive of the houses. It would not be easy to leave without extreme consequences, as you now know.
It's never mattered how much I tried to reason with him. My father simply would not let me go. His pride and the fear of what it would mean for House Veth'aal is all he cares about. Then you understand. All I want is to make my own life. Something Tane understood and was willing to help me with.
The credits help too, but yeah, guess you got the whole scoop now. I was hoping you'd see it that way. I lost my ship to the incident, so I didn't want Varric running off thinking I could just grab him and go. I was also out all the credits he was gonna pay me. That's where you came in. I figured, why not two for the price of one?
So, now you know my true intentions for leaving, and given the circumstances, I may be here for some time. My hope now is to make the best of it here. I suppose I owe you that much. The truth is, the Scaled Citadel was the last straw. My people are so blinded by faith and politics, they don't see how it's destroying us. Anasko Varun eliminated half our population in the blink of an eye. My sister Vashti among them. I could no longer live in a society that won't put its people first. That would destroy itself in the name of a god that has done nothing for us. I understand that some people need faith as guidance, But Varun's society takes it too far. I hope you can see why I want to walk away from all this. To start my own life. I ask that you give me that chance. Anything. Name it. My ring. Vashti gave it to me. The disaster to... True. It's as if she's looking out for me. One last time. Take it. I'll find solace in the fact that the ring will remain with my family. And now I hope we are done here. Thank you for seeing reason. I owe you both my life and freedom.
Now that's over with. I'm gonna hang back here, talk to Varric a bit. Besides, I don't want to be around when you break the news to Victor. Do me a favor and find me at the Herald's Rest when you're done.
Thank you. I have literally no experience being a growth farmer, but I'm going to try my best. Vashti knew my heart and mind well. She would understand. I have no doubt. Our father is what would bother her the most. She would have made a far better elder than I, if only he would have listened. But the man refuses to see anyone's truth but his own. I was on my way to see my father at the Halls of Obedience when it happened. I had just crossed Jinan Plaza when I saw the light pulse from the Citadel. I couldn't help but fixate on the Citadel itself, surrounded by that strange energy. It didn't even dawn on me until later, just how heavy the losses would be. For now. My father won't risk additional resources to confirm my death. That would only reflect poorly on him. Besides, this is just a stepping stone. My ultimate goal is to leave Varunkai behind. This farm will allow me to prove to myself that I can make it out there.
You made the right choice.
Diviner. Victor is waiting.
Well, you're back.
What have you done? Varric.
This blood is on... I have not overlooked your...
No, it was Varric.
You were his... You think you are doing what is... You are the lost one.
Victoria! I will not hear any... Leave us!
Oh, I am...
Victoria! Leave her be, Luther. The Great Serpent will guide her. Indeed it does. Now, did you find anyone who aided? I also have heard nothing of my son's disappearance, so I appreciate your discretion. You restored order to this house, and here, now go.
If only you had allowed Varric to live. First Vashti. Now, Diviner.
Idle hands and minds are where heresy is sown.
Be mindful of your actions. Heresy and treason are one.
Apologies, but you're not clear to purchase.